Are you looking for the best 2024 NFL bets around? Well, stick around and get ready for the NFL's Week 3 IDP Plus Defensive Props podcast. Welcome back to another week of the IDP Plus Defensive Props podcast, where we've been going through each week and giving you our favorite plays of the week. For now we've been using DraftKings as kind of our baseline, where we've been getting our odds, and we're trying to be as transparent with you, give you guys our backup, and just kind of see what we can do, come up with a little extra cash this week. So without further ado, I am your host, Axton Harding. I'm here with Johnny Christoffi. You can find him on Twitter at JohnnyFreakinF1 and myself at AxemanIDP. So shoot us any DMs, whatever you got. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it, and I'll let Johnny kick us off with his first play for week 3. What you got?
All right, so this is a week that I'm focusing on. I like what I see in the solo tackle department. So the first one I'm going to bring you with the lowest odds, the most likely to happen, is Justin Reid over 3.5 solo tackles versus the Falcons this week. I like this prop bet a lot. I think Justin Reid is a good bet to make this good. In this game versus the Falcons, I expect a lot of throwing to be done by the Falcons, partly because that's they had a great final couple drives last week, and that game-winning touchdown with Drake London. They finally got some momentum. So I think that they're rolling with steam right now. They're going to try to throw the ball. They're frankly going to have to throw the ball against a solid Kansas City team. So they may even be down in this game, which hopefully is the case. I think this is even more likely to happen. But all we're asking for is 3.5, over 3.5. So 4 or more solo tackles. Week 1 and week 2, he's combined for 11 solo tackles. So he's more than doubled this, on pace to double this in his first 2 weeks. I think it's a great matchup, and Justin Reid has been minus a hand injury, minor injury last week, missed 8% of the defensive snaps. But other than that, he's been a full-time player. So Justin Reid, I think, is a great bet to make good on over 3.5 solo tackles for minus 166. Axton, over to you.
Yeah, I really like that. Justin Reid is just one that's going to get, he's going to get 6 or more tackles a game. And you can almost, even if you get it at a 50% solo clip, you're one below that. You got to imagine that maybe he gets a sack, gets that solo tackle there. He's always playing in the box around the line of scrimmage. So, yeah, I think that's a solid one at minus 166. Good start for this week. So my first play this week is going to be Demario Davis over 8.5 total tackles this week. New Orleans goes up against the Philadelphia Eagles. This line came in at minus 125. I really liked originally the assisted tackle line was at 2.5. I believe yesterday when I was in the office and working, and I was looking at the lines that bumped up this today. So I'm kind of pivoting. I still really like the total tackle line, even at 8.5. Might seem a little steep, but when you're talking about a matchup against the Philadelphia rushing attack, you're talking about playing an offense that runs the ball damn near 40 times a game so far through the first 2 weeks, and it's a successful one at that. So, consider 40 attempts for 2 linebackers. You're looking at, opportunities galore for tackles, and with an offensive line that's as good as the Philadelphia Eagles is, that's just going to leave the lanes wide open for Saquon Barkley to kind of fall right into these linebackers' laps. And I really like Demario Davis to be the leading tackle getter for the linebacking core in this one. He kind of really is week in and week out. I think in week 1 was really the only time that he hasn't been, and it might have been he was just more rushing the passer, so he did get a sack. Sometimes you take a little hit in the tackle department when that stuff kind of plays out like that. But again, leading tackle getter of this team. New Orleans is on fire right now, and the Eagles are running a lot, so this kind of plays perfect for Demario Davis to hit this over 8.5 tackles. And again, that came in at minus 125. What do you got for your second pick here, Johnny?
Yeah, I like that a lot, man. No AJ Brown, heavy Saquon Barkley dosage, so a great week for Demario to break out there. For my next pick, I'm going to go another linebacker. continue the trend here. I'm going to go with Daiyan Henley for the LA Chargers. I have him at over 3.5 solo tackles. Again, solo tackle is kind of my niche this week, but it's minus 154 odds. I think it's a good, obviously people are betting on it. It's a good investment here. Daiyan Henley over the first 2 games has had 16 total tackles, respectively 4 and 6 total. Solo tackles. So he's cleared this in both of the week 1 and week 2 matchups this year so far. Last week it was exciting. First off, he had a great game, 9 tackles on only 67% of snaps. This past week he had 90% snaps, so the big uptick in snaps. We know that Junior Colson is out this week against a team that runs the ball. I continue to say it about my Pittsburgh Steelers. They like to run the ball so much, So Daiyan Henley, I've had confidence, with him so far, and I think this is a low mark. Maybe it goes up the later we get into the weekend here. So to me, smash it right now. Over 3.5 solo tackles at minus 154 for Daiyan Henley. Back to you, Axton.
Yeah, I really like that Pittsburgh game, especially for LA linebackers. You'll find out who I got kind of here on the plate later on. But I really felt like the books kind of lowballed us on this for the Chargers linebackers. Both of them were kind of sitting at 6.5 total tackles. And you got to think that with when you're playing against a Pittsburgh offense that runs the ball over 30 times a game, that leaves plenty of meat on the bone for these linebackers to just soak up tackles in the middle of the field. So, I mean, I pretty much like whatever line they're throwing at these Chargers linebackers right now. I didn't feel like any of them were high at all. So, love that play. My second pick here is going to be for Sean Murphy-Bunting, cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals, to get over 4.5 total tackles against the Detroit Lions. We're talking about a Detroit Lions team. Again, I'll revert back. That came in at plus 100. Again, against the Detroit Lions, this team Jared Goff threw the ball like 55 times last week. It was ridiculous. 34 completions gives your cornerbacks chasing either wide receivers or tight ends that are being targeted with these passes. 34 chances to potentially grab a tackle. I mean, that's a lot of opportunity for cornerbacks. And I believe last week, every Tampa Bay defensive back achieved this 4.5 tackle mark by a tackle and a half minimum. I think the lowest defensive back had like 6 tackles. It was ridiculous. And then in week 1, I don't think Goff's offense was up to par. They seem to have a slow start against the Rams. So I guess we can kind of chalk that up to, a one-off first week of the season. Stuff happens. And I would even say that one cornerback for the Rams actually did hit this line, even though the other one didn't. We're still looking pretty good for this matchup against Jared Goff. So I thought this line was really low for a total tackle mark, especially for a cornerback playing against a team. And considering the matchup actually, I believe, has the highest over-under. So the books are calling for this thing to be a shootout. So I think the Lions are definitely going to have to pass the ball a lot to keep up with what the Arizona Cardinals have been doing on offense. So Sean Murphy-Bunting and defensive backs for Arizona ought to be all busy. So really like this at over 4.5 total tackles at plus 100.
Yeah, I like that one too, man. I think there's going to be a lot of passing, similar to the kind of game last week with Arizona and the Rams. I think there's going to be a lot of passing here. As much as Puka and Kupp are out, I mean, Stafford's going to have to throw the ball. So I definitely like this one. Sean Murphy-Bunting, 4.5. He's cleared that the first game. A little bit down tick of last week, but I think it's a product of game flow. So good odds here, plus 100. I like it. I'm rolling with it. Hey, Axton, you had mentioned a guy from the Philly and New Orleans game. I am going to do the same here and talk about Zach Baun, somebody who, I doubted coming into the year. I didn't think he was like that. He is like that so far, not only in week 1, but week 2. It seemed to go his way too. 18 solos throughout the first 2 weeks. And that's what I'm looking here for. And this prop bet is over 5.5 solo tackles versus New Orleans at minus 115. Zach Baun, I mean, the first 2 weeks, like I said, 11 solos and 7. And his marker here is only 5.5. I don't think this is a shoe-in. I do think there's product of game flow where this does not happen, but I'm pretty sure about it, and I think another factor that comes into play big time here is the revenge game factor. Zach Baun used to play for the Saints, and as if you remember, he didn't really play too much. Maybe he was let down by the team. They didn't believe in him, but partly due to injury too. But he gets a shot here to make right against the Saints. The Saints are a good matchup for him. They're going to try to run the ball, and I know they've had Shaheed and had to have a couple touchdowns and big plays, but I don't really think that's who they're about. I think this is a big test. Philadelphia for New Orleans, and I think that Zach Baun, I'm not sure about a lot of things, but I am sure that he's going to be in the mix for some big plays and some volume tackles. So, he's hit this, made good on this mark the first 2 weeks. Let's make it 3 in a row for Zach Baun, minus 115 here.
Notoriously, the last several years, it really hasn't mattered who's been the lead linebacker in Philadelphia. They always that role in general just seems to be very lucrative when it comes to tackles in general. So if you can find a guy that's pretty efficient in the solo tackle category week to week and be able to do it back-to-back weeks, I don't see why you couldn't do it against a team who is, let's see, who it's Sean. Oh, Zach Baun is playing the
Philly.
Goodness gracious, he is.
New Orleans. Sorry, New Orleans.
Well, the Saints. I mean, a Saints team that's actually been rolling. Excuse me for my brain fart there, but that's been absolutely rolling. Last week, Alvin Kamara was just left and right being thrown at the opposing defense because this team just went up early and often. And a team that can do that just kind of gets to coast the rest of the game. That means a lot of rushes, a lot of stuff, just chalk stuff right up the middle, right to the linebackers, and it just kind of leads well right into the kind of game script that Zach Baun's going to need to hit this solo tackle mark. So I like that play at over 5.5 solos for Zach Baun. That's pretty solid. Minus 115. Good, solid play there. My last one here is going to be, I alluded to it earlier. You mentioned you chose a Chargers linebacker. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say they both can hit all of their overs this week. I think this matchup is just too good against the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. That's again running the ball. I would imagine probably top 10 most rushing attempts. I know if you guys follow PFF's John Macri, he puts out a tackles allowed per team by position little deal each and every week, and just kind of keeps that up to date. Pittsburgh Steelers have allowed, I believe, the 3rd or 4th most tackles to opposing linebackers so far this season. So this game is just money in the bank for both of these Chargers linebackers. Now, considering that Junior Colson is actually injured, there's nobody else that's going to take snaps from these guys. So I think Denzel Perryman can easily get over the 6.5 tackle mark. And they even gave us plus juice at plus 110. I would have chose Daiyan Henley. He was at minus 135, but I think both of them can hit this over on their total tackle mark. So give me the plus money here with Denzel Perryman at plus 110 for over 6.5 total tackles. And that's actually going to wrap up our initial 6. But we got a parlay for you guys here in just a minute for a couple extra plays. Same tackle props as well, but I'm going to let Johnny tell you a little bit about one of our sponsors.
Yeah, so our team here, it's our own sponsor, IDP Plus. We're doing a subscription promo. Go to the website, idpplus.com/membership. Start your season off right. It's week 3, but it's never too late to get your IDP Plus subscription. Get 20% off any subscription for a limited time with the promo code PROPS. And get access to our tools, data, IDP articles, and don't miss out on our subscriber Discord. So once again, go to our website, idpplus.com, and then hit / membership, and then use the promo code PROPS to get that 20% off site-wide. So Axton, moving into our juice picks here, a little parlay, little 2-pick parlay. We're each going to throw one out. To me, I feel real confident about this one. And I think, it's great odds here at plus 100. And I'm looking at Kyzir White from the Arizona Cardinals here to get over 2.5 assisted tackles. So I know I've preached the whole episode about solo tackles. Well, now I'm going to turn around and hit an assist tackle prop here for 2.5. I love this matchup versus Detroit, man. First off, I think it's a great matchup, top 10 matchup for Kyzir White to make good on this not only in the assisted department, but also his combined is 7.5. I like the over on that. It's minus 110 too. But to me, I think actually the more sure thing is the plus odds here. The over 2.5 assists. 11 assists in his first 2 weeks. The week 1, he had 6 assists. Week 2, he had 5. So he has doubled this both games, week 1 and week 2 so far. So I think this is a great opportunity, a great matchup to continue the trend. And again, you're getting juice odds at plus 100. So Kyzir White for me is my pick of the week. I think it's a safe bet and it's great odds. I don't think it'll last long. So like Axton mentioned, Demario Davis creeping up over the last couple of days. I think this is the byproduct that you'll see with Kyzir White on this tackle prop. So go hit it right now. Get those juice odds. And Axton, let's see what you come up with, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. When you get a 100% of snaps linebacker in the middle of a defense playing in a matchup that is projected to be the highest scoring matchup of the week, and his over assisted tackle mark is 2.5 at plus money, you want to smash that. I mean, I almost don't even care who it is. I mean, surely they can get 3 assisted tackles in this matchup against Detroit. I mean, Detroit's got 2 very versatile running backs, and I'd imagine that they run the ball pretty heavily. That seems to be their bread and butter whenever they're most efficient overall. So I like that matchup for Kyzir White, and that 2.5 tackle mark seems like nothing. I think that's very there's potential for that to cash in possibly even the first half, and plus money in your pocket. So my play here for this parlay is going to be Tyrel Dodson to get over 8.5 total tackles. And this week he plays Miami. And bear with me here. Miami is surprisingly is rushing the ball almost 40 times or more a game. I mentioned earlier that Philly is running on average right around there, but Miami's running even more. And now that they don't have Tua at quarterback, I imagine that only goes up. Raheem Mostert is again out, so I bet Jeff Wilson and maybe the rookie Jalen Wright and then Devon Achane are just going to be running the ball like crazy. I know that last week Devon Achane had like 22 carries, and then Jeff Wilson had like 14. I mean, they were just running a ridiculous amount of times. And when you have a quarterback that can't really pass, he doesn't have the game experience that the starter does. They're just going to have to lean on the run more. So I really like this matchup for Tyrel Dodson. And again, in this matchup, he's actually probably going to be the lead linebacker. I don't know if he would have the green dot. I can't quite say that he would have that. But Jerome Baker's not going to play in this one. So it's going to be rookie Tyrese Knight. And I would have looked at a line for him, but I think the books were a little scared to put something out there. But again, Tyrel Dodson's going to see 100% of the snaps. He's going to be in the middle of the field, soaking up all the rushing attempts from Devon Achane and Jeff Wilson and them. So I really like this. Even at 8.5, it might seem a little scary, but I think it's a pretty sure thing this week. So, and yeah, 2 Bills last week. When the Miami Dolphins played the Bills, they let 2 backup linebackers get 10 tackles apiece. Week 1, the Jags both Jags linebackers hit this mark. So 2 for 2 this week in Miami, allowing the both opposing starting linebackers to get this mark. So I really like this play for Tyrel Dodson. And to wrap up the parlay, when you put those 2 together, you get odds at plus 281. So you're looking at almost triple your cash on this in just a 2-leg parlay. I feel really good about that one, man. If I was in Kansas right now and we'd put this together when I was over there, I'd put some cash on that, man. So that's going to wrap up this week's show, everybody. We can kind of recap right now for last week. Before we get out of here, we'll just kind of quickly go through. We started off with Devon Diablo under 7.5 total tackles. Johnny hit that at plus 110. I hit EJ Speed over 9.5 tackles at minus 105. Johnny's Antonio Johnson kind of let us down a little bit last week. He didn't quite hit his over 5.5 tackle mark at plus 114. Same for mine with Paulson Adebo at 5.5 at plus 100. Mac Wilson, unfortunately, was 1 tackle short. But this game was kind of out of hand, so there wasn't really – I think they kind of pulled the starters off the field pretty early. I had some money on Kyzir White in our parlay, and I don't think Kyzir White played hardly at all in the second half. He had 7 tackles from like the early in the third quarter on. So unfortunate, but stuff like that happens. I hit Blake Cashman over 8.5 tackles. He freaking crushed it last week. And then let's see, last one here. Charvarius Ward couldn't quite get over that 3.5 tackle mark. Man, I felt so great about that one. I was disappointed to see he let us down there, but sometimes you can't really predict game script like that. So we're looking to kind of build off of that. We were hit 3 or 4 of our 6. So I like where we're at so far for week 2. We're going to look to kind of build off of that, and hopefully we can come home with some extra money this week. So thanks everyone for rocking with us, and we'll see you back here next week for some more defensive props. See y'all.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.